Hey, we're back on the Will and Willis podcast. We are live at Smokey's Place today, and today we're going to take a look at a top 50 list that was submitted by our producer, who really is the greatest wrestler of all time. That's it and more here on the Will and Willis Wrestling Podcast.
Spanning the globe for the latest information, the ins and outs, the ups and downs, and the behind-the-scenes story. In the world of pro wrestling, it's the Will and Willis Wrestling Podcast. And now, here are your hosts, Will and Willis.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. I am Jason Willis. Conspicuous by his absence is Will Spann. Don't know where he is, but here's the format for the show we were going to do. There you go. How about that? We did get a interesting little list, and we like to involve you guys here in the show. I got a lot of feedback on this particular topic. The top 50 greatest wrestlers of all time, and we're going to throw the list up here. And I have a lot of problems with this list, and I know a lot of people do too. A lot of the feedback that I got from people, some of my wrestling contemporaries, Ricky Regal, Thomas Simpson, some fans, in general. Even my producer said it's kind of a wacky list. I don't know the source of the particular list. I do know the source of the gentleman that put the list on his Facebook. Is a gentleman calls himself Black Adam Schefter, who is kind of like a parody of the NFL guy, and that's fine, and he does this breaking news. I don't know if this list is meant to be satirical. It could be serious, but when you examine something like this, we have to have some criteria. I don't know if this is correct criteria, because there's a lot of different ways to judge wrestling talent. I do know there are several sources that have these type of lists, awards, things. For validity, you probably want to go to somebody like the Cauliflower Alley Club, who does award shows every year. They're out of Las Vegas. Of course, Pro Wrestling Illustrated has had awards as long as I can remember, Wrestlers of the Year, Tag Team of the Year, those sorts of things. Fine publication, Bill Apter, famous in this industry. Then, of course, you have WWE has its own Hall of Fame. Impact has its own Hall of Fame. So where do you go? How do you really establish criteria with all those different sources? So I really researched and I broke it down. And I broke it down like this, the way I always approach pro wrestling. Pro wrestling is a business, and I figure the criteria, therefore, should be a few things. In-ring appeal, of course, what compels you to watch their matches. That goes along with charisma, in-ring ability. But the most important thing, really, to the wrestling business is, are you drawing money? Do you make money for the company? Do you sell merchandise? Do you move the needle in ratings, in YouTube views, social media, things of that nature? So when we go back to this list, and I'm going to have to pull it up again here because my phone died, or my phone went on sleep mode. Let's take a look at that. So here's their list. Let's go through the top, just through the top 10. I don't want to name all the names. It bore people and don't want you to fall asleep. Their order, number 1, Stone Cold Steve Austin. Number 2, Macho Man Randy Savage. 3, Ric Flair. 4, Hulk Hogan. 5, The Rock. 6, John Cena. 7, Shawn Michaels. 8, Undertaker. 9, Bret Hart. And 10, Chris Jericho. Whew. That in itself is a lot to unpack. I'm just going to tell you Jason's opinion. Jason's opinion may not be the right opinion, but if you're looking for the complete package in a wrestler, the ability to talk, the ability to wrestle, the ability to invigorate a crowd, overall excitement, I've got to go number 1, Ric Flair. And I'll tell you why. May not be the top name in professional wrestling, but I'm pretty sure a good many people know who he is. Maybe not quite so much as Hogan or maybe Austin, but I mean, flamboyancy, longevity, skill, technique, ability to be recognized, everything. I mean, he's still doing commercials. Man, 71 years old, was in a coma, thankfully recovered, and God bless him for that. And, he's on Skittles commercials. So, I mean, Ric Flair's still a very viable part of this industry. And he, has been even a mentor, a great manager. So I put Ric Flair number one. Maybe I'm biased. Maybe it's because I grew up in the Jim Crockett Promotions era. And that was my favorite wrestling to watch as a child. But I take Ric Flair number one. Agree or disagree. So, and again, feel free to comment. First of all, like and subscribe. Check out our Facebook page, Will and Willis Podcast, on Facebook. And, of course, let's hear it in the comment section, whether it's on Facebook or whether it's here. Let me take a little drink. And we'll dive back into this. Number 2, I've got to go with Hogan. Hulk Hogan defined wrestling in the 80s. Hulkamania was huge. The lead up to WrestleMania was huge, and then after WrestleMania, and then subsequent WrestleManias, matches with Andre the Giant, Macho Man Randy Savage, The Ultimate Warrior, Sergeant Slaughter. Just nobody was a bigger star than Hogan for all those years. And to redefine himself in 1996 with the NWO the way he did was pretty amazing. And then he reinvented himself again in 2002 when he came back to the WWE and had that incredible match with The Rock at WrestleMania 18. So I take Hulk Hogan number 2. So already there's a difference here with the list. Number 3, definitely Steve Austin. Steve Austin changed the course. Him and Vince McMahon really changed the course of World Wrestling Federation, which became WWE, the course of their business. As soon as Austin won the title from Shawn Michaels, the ratings battle immediately flipped in WWF's favor, and they would trade ratings battles for the rest of 1998. So you have to say Steve, and he was the biggest drawing card. They still say he is the biggest drawing card of all time. So how can you not put Steve Austin definitely in your top 3? Some people might claim he's number 1. I kind of disagree, just because, only because if Steve Austin hadn't got injured and had stayed around maybe another 5 years, 10 years, questionably, we might put him. But definitely, if you have a Mount Rushmore of wrestling, you got to include Steve Austin for sure. Number 4. This is kind of tough, but I picked The Rock. The Rock is my pick at number 4. And who has captivated and captured a global following like Dwayne Johnson? His time in the wrestling ring may have been relatively short compared to all these other people, but everybody knows who he is. He's a movie star. He's, Mr. Hollywood. His films have grossed, billions. And you just knew the guy was going to be a star. You took one look at him and said he was going to be a star. And he went from being the least popular guy, because fans kind of, pooped on him at first, but when he became The Rock, he became a success, a huge success. Hosted Saturday Night Live. What else can you say about Dwayne Johnson that hasn't been said? So definitely number 4. Solid number 4. Number 5. Here's where it gets a little bit tougher, but my list continues to deviate from theirs. The Undertaker. What more compelling character has been in wrestling existence really than Mark Calloway? The Undertaker's whole gimmick, persona, longevity, when you think about things like the WrestleMania streak and then when it was broken, just captivated and captured the imagination of wrestling fans everywhere. The entrance, his work with Paul Bearer, the feuds with Kane, Austin, Rock, Triple H, all of those guys. how is he not top 5? Again, feel free to comment, tell me I'm wrong, but that's my top 5 so far. Okay, here's where it gets a little bit fuzzy, but take it as it may. Number 6, I'm going to go with Shawn Michaels. Shawn really had 2 careers. His first career, which he came over from, the AWA, the Rockers, then the Rockers, WWF, break up with Marty Jannetty, and eventually to WWF World Champion, and then the injury, and Shawn Michaels was gone. Shawn Michaels came back in 2002, and hardly, once he got his groove back, hardly missed a step in the ring. I dare say his second career was better than the first. Incredible charisma, look, work in the ring, memorable matches. Shawn Michaels definitely top 10, number 6. And his big rival, I would put right under him is Bret Hart. I'm not a huge Bret Hart fan, but I recognize technical skill. I think Bret is one of the last world champions that really took it seriously. He felt like he was champion of the world, and he worked like he was champion of the world, and he carried himself like he was champion of the world. So that in itself, and some say Bret was too serious. I respect the man simply for holding the position of champion sacred and making it really mean something. So, and there's a lot of controversy going on with Bret right now. Oh, Bret's bitter, Bret's this, but as far as a professional wrestling list, he's got to be top 10. So I have Bret slotted in at number 7. Number 8 in my top 10, I'm going to go with Kurt Angle. And the reason is that not only has he had a long career, he's an Olympic gold medalist, and he won it with a broken frickin' neck. I know that's been said so many times, but Kurt's just an amazing athlete. What can you say about Kurt Angle? Whether he's a good guy or a bad guy, You Suck is going to live forever. I don't think that's ever going to go away if he makes an appearance. Incredible athlete, tough as hell. I think Kurt Angle's awesome. So there you go. Number 9, and I moved him way up on the original list because the original list had him at number 16, which I felt like was way too low. Mr. Perfect Kurt Hennig. And again, when I think about guys that could have been world champion that weren't, guys that really held that Intercontinental title and made it a workhorse title, Mr. Perfect was the man. And he just had incredible matches with everybody. That feud with Bret Hart was amazing. Had a little back injury there for a while, kind of took him out, but then he, went on to manage Ric Flair. Of course, came back part of the NWO and WCW, and then maybe that part wasn't as great as his WWF run, but it shows his longevity. Even to do things like the West Texas Rednecks, which was silly. I mean, even people are still going to remember the Rap is Crap album. I mean, it was ridiculous, but Kurt was all in, and you have to respect that as an athlete and as a man. And then he even made the comeback in 2002 to the WWF. So longevity wise, work in the ring, incredible athlete. Mr. Perfect is number 9. And finally, number 10. Like I said, on this original list, thought he was ranked way too low. He was ranked number 17, is Andre the Giant. Andre was a phenomenon. Go back and watch the HBO documentary on Andre and look at his popularity, look at his life, and tell me he's not on the Mount Rushmore of wrestling, along with these guys. How could anybody have a list and not put Andre number 10? maybe I have him too low at number 10. I don't know, but I'm just going by my opinion. Andre was an incredible athlete. He certainly when he was in his prime. Now, of course, age and his disease and stuff like that. Later on, he had to work a different style to, be able to get around in the ring. But I mean, by WrestleMania 3, he's not nearly as mobile or nearly as athletic and things, do the things that he could do. But just the psychology of that match and the intrigue of that matchup, and 90,000 people, whether the number's inflated or not, it's, neither here nor there. But I mean, they filled up Pontiac Silverdome, so it's at least 80,000. Just amazing. And like I said, I'm going to plug that HBO documentary again. As I look at his life, it's just a fascinating life, a fascinating character. And again, another guy that kind of transcended wrestling. He was in the $6 Million Man on an episode of that, and The Princess Bride, one of the greatest movies ever made. I don't care what anybody says. So there you go. So just with the top 10, I had issues, and I rearranged the top 10. Excuse me. I love my cherry Coke. And see, I could do this with the rest of this list. I mean, they have Vader at number 50. Okay, when I think of Vader at number 50, and I'm going to write that down, Vader is number 50. So, are you kidding? One of the greatest big men of all time. An incredible draw in Japan, an incredible draw in WCW. World champion. Some people look at the WWF run and go, well, that's bad booking. That takes nothing away from what Leon White was able to do in the ring. So to have guys like, let me pick one that just, like kills me. To have Kevin Nash and Batista ahead of Vader. I mean, come on, guys, really? Batista's career was brief, and yeah, he's in Hollywood now, and he's doing it, but he's not The Rock. Goldberg. I'll make an argument for Mark Henry. I love Mark Henry. Jeez. Kofi Kingston. I mean. No, Vader should be much higher than this list. Vader should be top 25. What else? Where's another one I took a big issue with? I thought Ravishing Rick Rude was a little low. They have him at 29. I would have put Rude, again, top 25. I don't see... And again, you can tell this is kind of made... maybe it's somebody that has not studied the sport as long as I have, or somebody like Jim Cornette or somebody that is historian. Where's Lou Thez on this list? Where's Terry Funk on this list? I don't see Terry Funk on this list. Now, Terry Funk is a guy that, he was world champion in 1975 and then continued to wrestle into the 2000s. And he did Hollywood movies. So where is he? You're telling me he's not top 50? Over guys like, and I like Ted DiBiase, but Ted DiBiase and Jake the Snake are over Terry Funk. Harley Race should be higher. Harley Race is 24. Harley Race should be top 15. Booker T and Kane are over Mr. Perfect and Andre the Giant and Dusty Rhodes. Seriously? And like I said, I take huge issue with this list, and I know a lot of people did too. And again, I'm just questioning whether I am not the be-all, end-all authority on professional wrestling. I am a wrestling fan. I am a guy that spent a good part of my adulthood, 17 years, in and out of independence. Managed, refereed, commentator, ring announcer, all of those things. And it's just, I don't know. I have a problem with it. You tell me if I'm right or wrong. Ricky Steamboat is 31. Number 31 on this list. Wow. Just the fact that Kevin Nash and Batista are sitting there. And I'm not dissing these guys. I watch stuff with Kevin Nash on it, and I think he's incredibly funny. Politics aside, I don't know any, when somebody says he's a big politician and all that. He's not a tremendous wrestler, but I mean, he had his day. But over Vader, where is Bam Bam Bigelow on this list? Oh, that's another one that's killing me. AJ Styles at 36, Daniel Bryan at 35, CM Punk at 27. I don't know. Randy Orton's on here. He definitely deserves to be on here. Jeff Hardy at 41. As a guy that's been primarily a tag team wrestler all of his career, I know he's done some singles, and he's been WWF champion. I don't know, man. Chris Benoit's on here at 33. I'm sorry, I have to disqualify any list that has Chris Benoit. Sorry. That's just the way I feel. That's it, guys. He's never going to be in the Hall of Fame, and he's basically been erased from history. So why should he be on any top 50 list? Somebody asked me about Superfly Snuka. Same thing. When you do bad things, your accomplishments get erased. I mean, it's that simple. You can't go back. Once a line's been crossed, you can't go back. Anyway, Arn Anderson's on. Well, Arn deserves to be in top 50. They're criminally underrated. Scott Hall was pretty good. British Bulldog. William Regal. Goldberg's sitting at 46. Now, there's an interesting case. Goldberg one notch above the Ultimate Warrior. I don't know if I could put Ultimate Warrior even in the top 50. Goldberg. Wow. I don't know. Maybe these guys go 51, 52. In a top 50 list. Mick Foley's sitting there at 28. That's not bad. Ron Simmons, Brock Lesnar, Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles. I said I wouldn't name all these names. I don't know. I just take big issue with the list. So, anyway, that's the list. Do you agree? Do you agree with my top 10? Let's go through my top 10 one more time. Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan, Steve Austin, number 3. The Rock, number 4. Undertaker, number 5. Shawn Michaels, number 6. Bret Hart, 7. Kurt Angle, Mr. Perfect, Andre the Giant. Notable absences. Luthez, who's the longest reigning champion held the title more until Ric Flair came along. Luthez. Where is Terry Funk? Where is Bam Bam? He headlined WrestleMania. Where's Bam Bam? One of the best big men of all time. Got to talk about Bam Bam Bigelow. Gosh, is there any more glaring omissions from this list? I said Andre was too low. I had him at number 10. Then if you start moving up the list, you got to start moving Dusty Rhodes and Sting up. Booker T ahead of Dusty Rhodes and Sting. I just don't get it. And I like Booker T, but he was world champion in a time where the title was passed around like a hot plate. Just like above Roddy Piper, Eddie Guerrero, Harley Race. I mean, he shouldn't be. Ron Simmons should be Bruno at 13. Bruno should be at least number 11. Kurt Angle and Triple H. Definitely top 25 guys, but man, wow. I don't know. I just don't know, folks. But again, want to engage the audience, so please feel free to comment, or on the Facebook page, or on Twitter, Facebook, anywhere. Please comment. Tell me why I'm wrong. Tell me why this list is wrong. Or tell me why I'm right. Is Ric Flair number 1? Should it be Hogan? Should it be Austin? Should it be somebody else? You tell me. I mean, gosh, whew. Man, oh man, oh man. Gorgeous George is not top 50? Should he be on this list? Is that an omission? I'm going to write him down too. I mean, talk about somebody that's, in the history of wrestling, had a big impact. Buddy Rogers? Is he not top 50? If you got Bruno on here, can you make an argument for Larry Zbyszko? Maybe. I don't know. You tell me. You tell me, wrestling fans. And in closing, I do want to say this, that maybe the last couple of videos sounded a little money hungry, and we do want to make a little money on this channel. But, I mean, really, this is all about you guys. I'm a wrestling fan. I like being around wrestling fans. I miss the wrestling business. I'd like to get back into the wrestling business whenever that's possible. And and I hate to keep mentioning the word COVID, but it keeps coming up because it's still a thing, unfortunately. But I want this content to be good. I want this content to be about you guys. We definitely want you to interact. And if you're subscribed, and thank you for subscribing, first of all. I said first of all, but all that other stuff was first of all. But thank you for subscribing. We have like 120 of you as I sit and record today. And that's fantastic. Do we want to get to 1,000? Absolutely. Absolutely we do. But we don't want to sacrifice content. We don't want to sacrifice our audience. We don't want to make you feel like you don't belong a part of this, because a big part of this channel is the people that support it. So I mean, it's the biggest reason. I'm just a host. I'm just a content creator. I am now once you get to a certain level, you're a social media influencer. They've had to create a whole word for that. And Jennifer, thank you for giving me that word. And Jennifer, the leader of Time and Pressure, awesome band here in Charleston. Great band. For pointing that term out to me. But yeah, we create content. We do influence people, and we do kind of lead people one way or another. But I like I said, I want with this channel, and I know I'm rambling here, and I'm getting ready to wrap this up because this is gonna be a short episode today. Just want people to interact and have fun with this channel. If you have any suggestions, please let us know. Facebook, comment, anything like that. And guests, I did get lots of requests for guests. Guests are coming. They're coming. It's some scheduling issues that we need to work out, but guests are coming. Promise you, we're going to have more guests on this show. And I think when we have more guests on this show is when we're going to see the you guys get involved a little more, because there's going to be some more people that you care about, not just me and Will talking. So with that, this is Jason Willis. I'm going to sign off right now. This has been the Will and Willis Podcast. Find us on Facebook at Will and Willis Wrestling Podcast. Of course, this channel, this YouTube channel, the Will and Willis Wrestling Podcast, Will and Willis Cast at gmail.com for any inquiries, emails, things of that nature. And we will see you next time right here on the Will and Willis Podcast.